Now, I'm pretty sure we all want to live a good life. At least you should. But the thing is, the pursuit of a good life is like baking a cake. If you don't know what you're doing, you often have to refer to a recipe. But I believe that by adhering to a certain set of instructions, people often lose sight of the complete picture and miss out on things. Like, for example, when I was in Korea for a week, there was this marketplace. And in this marketplace, they sold all kinds of things. But you see, I'm the kind of person who would go to a restaurant, find one kind of food, and only get that every time I visited. And this marketplace was no exception. So once I tried their meat buns, that was all I wanted, and I was hooked. So every day, I would kind of take this particular winding path down to the stall that sold these meat buns. And I would never deviate because, in my eyes, if the system wasn't broke, there was no need to fix it. So ultimately, I ended up only actually getting meat buns, which was something I came to regret later when I discovered that they sold headphones for the cheap right across the corner. But I think this experience of mine deeply resembles and mirrors the instructions that we're given as students on how to succeed. Now, as students of a highly developed country, I'm sure you've kind of already been told what you guys need to do in order to live a good life. From my understanding, first, you kind of have to go to a high school, get good grades, and then do at least 10 activities so you can completely fill out your college application sheet. Then, you get into a college or a postgraduate college with an acceptance rate of 20% or below. You continue to maintain good grades, and you do lots of internships and study for the career of your choosing, probably something your family can brag about. Then afterwards, once all of that is done, you join the workforce, and you find a stable and steady paying job that lets you slowly climb your way up the ladder and start a family, where you'll continue to work until you retire. Now, I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure that this is kind of outdated. This is the master plan forged by the wisdom and the experience of all those who came before you. And yet, all you have to do is follow it, and this good life that you wish for can easily be yours. You see, I'm only 17, so I really can't say what comes after high school. But I think that there's a problem, that something like this exists at all. Because this kind of intense focus is like a double-edged sword. You can more effectively reach your goals, but I also think that you inadvertently close yourself off to other paths and opportunities. Now, I'm not trying to say that stuff like this shouldn't exist, but I do think that this current understanding that we're given is somewhat in need of correction. You see, in the world of entrepreneurship, this is always something that I believed to be kind of somewhere out of reach, somewhat inaccessible, but kind of something designated for the prodigies and geniuses of my time. And yet, I've always kind of wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I've always wanted to kind of start my own company. But there would always be this voice at the back of my head telling me, you're not supposed to do this yet, or just keep studying and it'll all make sense later. And that actually stopped me on numerous occasions from starting this endeavor, because I was afraid of putting myself out there, and I was afraid of failure, quite simply, because I think that this system, this kind of set path that we're given, kind of predicates this necessity for success, that in order to proceed to the next step, we have to succeed. And because of this, I feel like there's this deeply ingrained fear of failure, to the point where not only are we afraid to make mistakes, but we're also afraid, and we develop this natural aversion to the unknown and the unconventional. Because after all, why take risks when all you have to do is follow the steps in order to succeed? Now, over the holidays, I decided that I was going to push myself. I said that by the end of the month, I would at least create my own e-commerce company, regardless of the consequences. And surprisingly, I succeeded. By the end of the month, I had established my own LLC. And naturally, being the only member of this newly formed company, I named myself CEO, President, and Vice Chairman, and Head Chairman. I have no regrets. But now officially, because of this, I'm now the founder of an e-commerce company, an online retailing company projected to launch by June 2017. The impossible for me had become possible, but it wasn't because I suddenly became really smart or really capable, but rather it was because I discovered that without these mental shackles telling me that I couldn't do this, the whole process was actually just simply easy. I think it's because today the world is changing, and nowadays the impossible is both rapidly becoming possible and accessible for everyone. But by adhering to the conventional wisdom that we are given, I feel like many people have adopted a perspective that limits what they can truly achieve and leaves them unable to avail themselves to the opportunities of today. By adhering so much and focusing so much on the wisdom of yesterday, I feel that we lose sight of the new and unknown of today. Now, I think that a lot of people have this kind of false idea that a lot of things for them are kind of not really supposed to be for them. But I think because of this, this actually inhibits what we can really kind of accomplish, and it blinds us and clouds our sight. Because for me, and with this e-commerce company, I discovered that things weren't actually impossible, but they were always actually available and out there. It was astonishingly simple. I can actually teach everyone right now how to start their own company. The first step you need to do is just go to a website, your standard government website, and fill out a 20-minute form. You pay a little money, and then your company is formed. That's all you need to do. And to create an online retailing company, I just used a website that was designed for building websites. So all I had to do is like drag and drop stuff and then put things in to make things look fancy. It was astonishingly simple, so much so to the point where it shattered the deeply held convictions that I had, that stuff like this wasn't possible. Because today, I think it is possible for all of us. I just didn't realize it. I was so busy focusing and being infatuated with what I needed to do for the next step in life that I had failed to realize that the world around me had changed and was different than yesterday. Now, I think it's good to have a path, a good general guideline for success. But I think it is equally important, if not more so, to make sure we understand that this is not an end-all be-all, and rather than follow this recipe down to the letter, we should be encouraged to branch out and explore the new and unknown. Because if all we ever did was follow the rules for success and use the same recipe for baking a cake, how will we ever experience the value of discovery?